going to continue discussing the travel ban situation for the direct flights from Egypt to Canada. And today we are pleased to have Dr. Magda and Dr. Fikri, Canadian doctors who came recently from Egypt to Canada, and they're going to share their travel experience with us. Dr. Magda and Dr. Fikri, Alhamdulillah Salama, welcome back to Canada, your second home.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling us.
Thank you so much for being here with us. And let me apologize for all the hard time that you had to go through because of the restrictions, travel restrictions, and the sudden travel ban for the direct flight from Egypt to Canada. How long have you been serving in the medical field in Canada?
Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So proud of you.
Thank you.
When did you leave? When did you travel to Egypt?
We started our trip on November 25.
Okay.
To attend the funeral for my brother-in-law.
So sorry to hear this. Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what happened when you heard about the travel restrictions?
When we left Canada, there was no restriction. There was no regulations other than we know regarding being vaccinated, having a PCR test negative, which we did. We both have our immunization vaccine. We also have the third dose before we travel to Egypt, 2 weeks before we left. We tried to protect ourselves and use all the protection over there, and there was nothing wrong. And we arrived to Egypt after our arrival on December 1st. We heard about the news of banning direct travel from Egypt to Canada. Also, the other traveler has to stay and do a test on a third country, which applied to us. So we got panicky, to tell you the truth. We got panicky. We have to change our flight. And instead of December 9, our return ticket, have to change it to December 5th to stay overnight in Amman, Jordan, and do the PCR in Amman, which cost us a lot of money, equally like probably double the price of the ticket. Spending one night unnecessarily in Amman to do the PCR test, causing more money. Our test from Egypt came back negative. Second test in Amman came back negative.
You know, from your experience in the medical field, do we have like this scary and crazy number in Egypt of people infected with the Omicron? With all respect to the World Health Association organization, do we have this big number that can cause such a sudden decision to happen?
When we were there, we didn't notice any, problem.
Major, yeah.
People are healthy. They obey the rules. They have their mask. A lot of people had their vaccine. So we did not feel like, oh my God, the corona is here. We were concerned when we were going, but when we were there, we felt safe. Okay. And we had the test before we leave. It was negative. So I don't know what happened suddenly in Egypt.
We are worried about our families in Egypt now because, wow, what's happening in there? So thank you so much for sharing this. So now you arrived to Canada, you managed to find a third country, and now it's your trip back to Canada. So what happened in the airport?
So we arrived at the airport about 2:30 p.m. on December 6th. Upon arrival, we knew from before that we have to do PCR test. So one of the quarantine officer took us. We were like about 20 people coming on the same flight. We did a PCR test, and we was surprised that there was a quarantine detention center.
Okay.
Yeah. It was not published before. It was not even on the news. But they said, oh, okay, you are not going home, have to go to detention center. They sent us couple by couple, like me and my wife, in a special or a separate taxi, each one by a separate transportation. When we arrived to the hotel, we have to go through a side door, not from the main entrance of the hotel.
Okay.
We have to carry our bags on the stairs to the second floor because they are not allowed to touch our bags. So we have to carry it by ourselves. Then they show us the room. We have to get into the room, lock the room. We are not allowed to come out of the room, no fresh air.
So when people describe this as a prison or a jail room, do you agree on this term?
Well, jail or prison may be better because you're allowed to order food from outside. But we are not allowed to order any food, not my daughter to come and check on us. My daughter is a doctor and she asked them to bring food for us. They refuse. We are not allowed to order water. They provide us with paper cup, one for each guest, and one towel for each guest to reuse it and drink tap water.
My goodness.
We had a lady who was pregnant. She is a doctor from Ottawa, cardiologist. Another lady was 7 years old baby or child, and they were so upset, hungry. The food arrived like 9:30 p.m. So it was a long day with mistreatment for Canadian citizens.
Sure.
Yeah, it is not. I didn't expect that to happen in Canada.
For sure, you're bringing tears to my eyes, actually.
We stayed overnight with all the struggle. Next day, they sent us the results of the PCR, which thanks God came back negative. So that proved that our test in Jordan or in Egypt is correct.
Yeah.
So they said some people, they make it, but this is proof that our test was correct from Egypt. Next day, we had the results negative. We sent it to the quarantine officer, as we were told, to give us release from the detention center. I don't want to call it hotel. So no answer and no reply to our request.
Okay.
And they said, oh, okay, because they are busy, they have lots of travelers, and people work in the hotel were from the Red Cross.
Okay.
They were understaffed, and all the frustration that people did on them. And they said, we are understaffed. We have 2 nurses or 2 workers to serve 2 floors.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 floors of people who are in quarantine. There was an officer or security guy in the hall. Once you step out of the room, they said, sir, get into your room and close the door. A lady was shouting for her baby, hungry, but no reply or no response.
She was told, get into your room and shut up.
Yeah, she was told by the security.
I heard it.
Yeah, get into your room and shut up.
Oh my, even the basic needs. So these are like the basic needs for a baby to eat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What a shame.
She was screaming, I am Canadian citizen, shame on you. Why did you say that? But it was bad.
Anyway, so we have to spend another day for no reason, no justification. Results came back negative. Why you keep us another day? We stayed another night, the same story about breakfast, about lunch, about dinner. It is not acceptable, and it is not for human being. One of the ladies said, well, this is the leftover from the restaurant and or from the airlines.
Oh my goodness.
It is really bad. Like, you can't imagine how bad was the food. But anyway, we spent another night using the same towel to have shower, to wash your face with one towel. The following,
Like this coming out of a doctor who's giving us the advice to wash and to keep
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
right.
clean and using the one towel over and over.
That's right.
This is, yeah, this is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we trapped between four walls with no human dignity or respect, and no proper food or drinks for 48 hours with no excuse or justification. We are treated like a criminal, not a human being, or not like a Canadian citizen. I don't want to say doctors or no doctors, because we are human beings or Canadian. We have to be treated in dignity
Exactly.
and with respect. To tell people, to tell a doctor to drink from the tap water, that's not acceptable.
Sure.
Anyway, so we have to spend the 48 hours. No service in the room. Like if you ask for something, they said we understaff. We are belongs to the Canadian Red Cross, not to the quarantine office or the airlines or the hotel.
Exactly.
So it is not belonging to the hotel. Oh, you have to replace the garbage outside your room in a certain time, like 1 o'clock p.m. If you put it outside before that, they throw it again to your room.
You have to put it in your.
Yeah, you have to get into your room and put it back.
No way.
So all this because we traveled to attend a funeral service, which kind of emergency, not non-essential travel. We have to travel. Get the news while we were there, not before we traveled. So I think people, they should treated with respect and dignity regardless. Both are physicians working and serving Canada and the Canadian people for more than 25 years. And we extremely worked hard through the pandemic to help our community to get through this crisis. But we didn't get any respect from our government or our people who put this rule or responsible to this.
It was a very, very bad experience emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. I never had this experience ever before, neither in Egypt or in Canada. So I don't know how this happened.
So the following day, when they gave us the release
Yes.
to go home, after begging them and asking them several times, one of the quarantine officer came and gave us a piece of paper, told us to get your luggage to the stairs again and carry them by yourself because they are not allowed to touch it.
Okay.
So imagine.
So you took your luggages up the stairs and down the stairs by yourselves.
On the stairs, not allowed to get into the elevator, with respect of 3 or 4 PCR tests before and during and after we come back. Yeah. 2 of these tests were done in Canada, not in any other country. Yeah. One before we went and one before after we arrived, and both negative. Another one in third country negative, in Egypt negative, and they are not allowed to touch our luggage. We were in the airplane. So if we are infected, okay, come on, why do you allow people to get into the airplane stuck together 3 in a row in a closed environment for more than 10 hours from Jordan to Canada, if this is the case?
And we use the elevator in the airport.
And we use the elevator in the airport.
But you can't use it in the
But you cannot
hotel.
use it in the hotel or detention. We don't know that. We didn't see it.
I know. And our previous guest said the airport was so crowded. This
So
means,
crowded.
like, if you do this panic and you ask everybody to return back, because of the panicking attack that they had to go through because of this decision. So expecting for any virus,
Yeah.
not Omicron, to be spread.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to ask you, because you're physicians, how this current isolation, the 3 days or more of isolation, would affect the Canadians mentally and emotionally and psychologically, and how much we're going to spend on the treatments. We're already under pressure and depression because of the last isolation.
And
Well,
there is no purpose of it, because you have your test, okay? And if your test turn negative, you're going to go home. If your test turn positive, you're going to go home. So why you don't let me go home from the airport to my home? And when you get the result, let me know. I will be isolated in my home. I will save a lot of money for the government. You will save the emotional difficulties for people, the physical difficulties, financial. It didn't cost us anything being in this quarantine, but it costs the taxpayer, which we pay taxes. So why? You are going home, either you're positive or negative. Send me home, let me stay home. Like now, we've been home, we're not allowed to have
leave.
visitor or to leave. We have a quarantine officer come every few days to see if we are home. Do this for everybody instead of keeping us in the hotel. Does not make any sense.
And also, as a physicians, we have to stay home for 2 weeks, suffering financially and physically and emotionally. We have patients booked in these 2 weeks to be seen. I am a gynecologist. I have pregnant ones to be seen. I'm not going to see them. She's a psychiatrist. All patients need to be seen, but they don't consider any of these.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but
no justification for that.
It can be done in a better way.
Or by allowing the Egyptians to go to a third country, which is known with the Omicron population in there, it's a kind of risk, and you're not like giving me a logic reason. Why are you allowing the Canadian citizens to go to another country? And this country has the Omicron in there, proven from the Health Association, from the World Health Association, and you bringing everybody back to Canada.
Exactly.
Why?
Without any difficulties. Like how many European countries, the States, for example, they have more than Canada, more than Egypt, but they allow them to come.
And we have the website. We're going to leave it under this video that the Justice Center in Ottawa today, because they are going to file a lawsuit against the government because of the ill treatment to the travelers. You're not the only ones. Lots of people were suffering, and it's not acceptable for us Canadians to see our Canada is not treating us fairly and safely, and to bring us home safely. This is not Canada that we know.
No, it's not fair for the Egyptian Canadian to be treated this way.
For any Canadian.
Or for any Canadian to be treated this way.
Correct. One of the requests that we are presenting to the government, and it came from the previous guests when we did previous interviews, that the government of Canada has to pay all the expenses that were not planned by the travelers at this time, because this puts an extra budget on the travelers, and it's not a crime to go visit my family, and there was no restrictions before I traveled.
Exactly.
So why do you put a burden on me and expenses over my budget? Lots of people are under debts already, and this is not fair for the economy, for the country here. So government of Canada should reimburse the travelers for all the expenses, the unplanned expenses, for sure.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. Do you have any solutions to add to our previous recommendations and solutions and requests to the government?
I think the best solution is to, the government of Canada recognize 1 or 2 or 3 labs in Egypt and get the result from there. instead of denying every result, because we have a lot of good labs that are doing a good job,
Yes.
you know. So I think that's what we need to do.
That's what's supposed to do. Ask the government or the embassy of Egypt in Canada to give a few names of labs that will be recognized,
And respect it here.
and also the immunization certificate to be certified by the embassy in Egypt, and you don't have to ban the people. That's one solution. And the other solution is to don't apply rules or punishment for people who traveled before these rules to be applied.
Exactly.
Because people, they travel, no restriction now. And if there is no restriction, I'm allowed to travel. If you tell me, no, don't go, I will think about it. And I deserve what happened. But don't tell me while I'm there, you are not allowed to come back or change your flight. That's not fair.
Give me a time frame. Like even if you're
Exactly.
doing a decision and it's sudden and it's a disaster, you want to protect everybody, just give me a time frame so I can adjust my schedule and myself, plan ahead.
That's what they did first time in Corona. They asked all Canadians to come back,
Yeah.
not to tell them not to come. They
And
gave them a grace period.
yeah, and we all accepted the
Yeah.
rules, we all followed the rules, and we all know it's about our safety. But now one country is banned, or 10 countries in Africa are banned the direct flight, and you're taking me to countries that has the virus, and you are asking me to do the PCR there. It's not accepted that you don't trust the PCR that's done in Egypt. This is not acceptable either. But at least you have a solution over there to make designated labs that are under the supervision of the embassy. So it's another layer of trust, as you said.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So yeah,
And we need your Egypt Airway to come back directly from Egypt to Toronto or from Egypt to Montreal, because all our family, like old family members, they feel comfortable because it's Egypt.
It is direct flight.
It's direct flight. It's Arabic for them. You know, they feel they are in their home. So we need Egypt Air to be back flying
yes.
to Canada.
Yes, this is one of our requests as well. We have lots of people, our families, our parents, everybody is there are waiting. They cannot go through transit or a third country. So we are requesting the Canadian government to look again at this decision, to reverse it as soon as possible for all the interest of the Canadian citizens. And we pray that God give the wisdom to the decision makers and to keep our Canada safe and glorious. We don't know how to thank you enough. I don't want to hold you back. We have lots of stories, like our hearts are melting because lots of stories come to us here on the channel. Lots of people were planning to start a new life in Canada. They're stuck there. Lots of people, they need their medication and they are scheduled for surgeries and they are stuck there. They can't come back now. Lots and lots of stories. Another lady is crying because she wanted to see her, to be with her daughter and receive her first grandson, and now she can't come. Christmas is coming, New Year's is here, and lots of people are going to be in quarantine and not to celebrate the Christmas and the holidays with their families and their loved ones. It's kind of a hard situation, a tough situation for all Canadians and who are coming from Egypt or these 10 countries that are banned the direct flight to Canada. We thank you so much for your time. We pray that everybody is safe, and we pray that this will be over soon.
Thank you for sharing our story with you. And I hope that something to be done.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.